As he said, my name is Brendan Davison. I'm from Kansas City, Kansas. There's two Kansas cities. I'm an activist, I'm a student, and I'm a proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America. For those of you who, thank you, yes. For those of you who don't know about DSA, we are the largest socialist organization in the United States. In the last few years have been rather transformative for DSA. The Bernie Sanders campaign has prompted new interest in democratic socialism, and after Trump's election in 2016, thousands of people joined DSA, and new chapters were formed across the country. Our numbers nearly quadrupled in the past year to nearly 32,000 members, and that number is still growing right now. Last November, more than a dozen DSA members stood for elected office as independents or Greens or Democrats, and they were about a dozen of them were elected to public offices at the state and local level across the country. Most notably, Lee Carter in Virginia defeated the second most powerful Republican in the Virginia state legislature, and did this without the support of the state Democratic Party, who didn't like his message, and also with the Republicans sending out mailers comparing him to Mao and Stalin. This is a guy who served in the Marine Corps, so I'm not sure how he's suddenly a Maoist. But we now have 33 elected members of our group across the country, including not just in the Virginia State Legislature, but also on the Chicago City Council and in the Hawaii State Legislature as well. And we're looking to expand that number at local and state level in the next election here in November. The Democratic Party in the U.S. claims to represent the hashtag the resistance, but they clearly have shown time and time again they have no interest in pursuing an agenda that actually challenges the Republicans and addresses the needs of the working class, or creating a credible alternative that addresses these needs. The Democrats continue to believe that Trump is the problem, that if they just get rid of Trump, all our problems will just magically be solved overnight. Frankly, this is just delusional. Trump is merely a symptom. He is not the problem itself. The problem is the failure of decades of neoliberal policies and the capitalist system itself. And we need to address these issues, not just say, oh, well, let's continue with this Russia investigation and maybe we can impeach Trump. No, we need to address these issues directly. Yeah. The only way to defeat Trump is to focus on the forces of reaction, for that matter, is to present a clear, radical, left-wing alternative to neoliberalism and right-wing pseudo-populism. Yeah. The task before us in both the United States, Canada, and all over the world is rather daunting, but especially for us in DSA. Our growth has brought many challenges. We operate, you can see, as a very small organization with only less than 10,000 members. Now we have tens of thousands of members spread out across the country. This means we need to step back and reorganize ourselves to better operate now that we have such a large membership. And we also don't have a party like the NDP or Quebec Solidaire to actually advocate the needs of the working class. We have a two-party business party system that only addresses the needs of capitalists and big business. To create a third party in the United States is very difficult because the political system and ballot access laws and other restrictions like the Electoral College and the Debate Commission make it very hard to get one established and make it publicly visible. It's very hard to do that, as we've seen with the limitations placed on parties like the Green Party, and I don't like them, but the Libertarian Party. They're another story altogether. But right now, one of DSA's priorities is the fight to establish a single-payer Medicare-for-all healthcare system in the United States. It is the same fight that Tommy Douglas and the NDP won for Canada so many years ago. And we look to you and your party for inspiration and an example as we continue with this fight. As we've seen at the convention today, the struggle for justice does not end at national borders. Our fight for single payer in the United States is exactly the same fight that you are fighting right now to create pharmacare and protect your Medicare system from privatization and austerity imposed by the conservatives and the liberals. We are fighting the same fight in this one. And it's not just that. You have a Fight for 15 movement. I have personally marched with Fight for 15 in Kansas City, and we have nearly won that race if it wasn't for the state legislature in Missouri, which was keeping that race from being imposed. They actually lowered the race in St. Louis that they imposed. We are fighting to rebuild our labor movement, and many of the unions you have here, like the United Steelworkers and the Teamsters, are the exact same unions we have across the border. The unions already have an international spirit. The only way to create a democratic socialist society is to build a strong internationalist movement for democratic socialism, and that will help us all overcome the neoliberal consensus and break the power of the capitalist class. I want to thank NDP Momentum for hosting this event and for inviting me. This was quite an incredible experience. I'm glad to be here with all of you in Ottawa. I want to actually address the Cuban delegation specifically. Under the current administration, we are going back on many of the amazing changes that were being made with Ottawa, I forget the exact term, but the reapproachment towards Cuba with normalization of relations. That's it. And I heavily support that, and I condemn, in the strongest terms, my government's 60-year or 50-year embargo. I exaggerated the number there. 50-year embargo that we have imposed that has only harmed the Cuban people and is a violation of human rights. And very few Americans believe these ridiculous allegations about sonic weapons being used on the Cuban embassy. That's not even, the weapons they're saying aren't even physically possible. It's utterly ridiculous. But I'm grateful for this opportunity to be here, to learn from all of you. And I thank you for having me here. I look forward to taking what I have learned here back to my comrades in TSA so we can build a labor party of our own in our country and bring about the changes we need for North America. Thank you, and solidarity forever.